Or you want me to wait till 11 or what? Oh, okay. Everybody set? Okay, very good. Good morning. I'm Captain Darren Frank. I'm the director of the Major Crimes Division. With me is Detective Lieutenant Sean Gagan and Detective Lieutenant Nick Pacerno, the Major Crimes Division. Appreciate you coming here today for an update on this homicide that occurred in Montgomery Village. So on June 5th at 22:46 hours, 10:46 p.m., Montgomery County Police received a call for shots fired in a neighborhood. When officers arrived there, they found two young men deceased in a vehicle, and unfortunately, we weren't able to do anything to save their lives. We have had an ongoing investigation since then that has involved over 60 detectives and technicians working around the clock to try and bring some closure to the families and justice to the victims. Today we wanted to share with you some information that we have not shared before, and hopefully this information will help shed light on what occurred and encourage the public to come help us. On the evening that this occurred, when our investigators arrived, we conducted a thorough crime scene analysis. Some of the evidence that was collected, we collected 30 shell casings at the scene. There were multiple calibers of weapons used at the scene. As I've said before, we are being very deliberate in our processing of all the evidence that we recovered. The victims were transported to the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner for an autopsy. I can tell you that one of the victims was shot 10 times. Another of the victims was shot 4 times. The other rounds in this case hit the vehicle and also in the air into the neighborhood. Some of you have played an audio clip on your different channels that was purported to be audio of the shooting. We can confirm that is authentic. That is audio of the shooting that occurred that night. The two really big things for us that we want to share with you before taking questions. First, the family of Mr. Najjar is working on increasing the reward for information leading to the arrest of the persons responsible for this. That'll be through Crime Solvers. Right now it's at $10,000. By the end of the day, we hope to have that at $20,000. The tip line for people that have information is 240-773-TIPS, 240-773-TIPS, or 8477. And just for our belief for the community, and we know that they've been very upset by this event, and they should be. It should not happen in Montgomery County. Our experience, what we've learned from the crime scene, shows us that this is not a random event. We do not believe it's a random event. We do believe that the suspects and the victims knew each other, and more importantly, we believe there are people out there that have not come forward yet and have not given us information that they know about this case. It may be something small, it may be something as big as they witnessed something. We need them to come forward. Again, 30 shell casings, a very violent scene. We need people. Imagine if this happened to your friend, to your loved one, to your family member. We can't imagine what someone did to deserve this fate, and we want to appeal to those out there that have information. Do the right thing and talk to the Montgomery County Police. Do the safe thing and talk to the Montgomery County Police. So we hope that the reward gets some folks' attention, but more importantly, in Montgomery County, we don't accept this behavior, and we need folks to do the right thing. Other than that, that is the updates. We're going to take a couple questions as best we can, but please understand it's an ongoing investigation. There's many things that we're working on, and there's probably many things I can't comment beyond what we've shared today.
There's supposed to have been some death. The family of the victims knew it, chased someone off, done previously. Are you looking into that scenario?
We're looking at every possible scenario right now until we put handcuffs on someone and get a statement. We're looking at every scenario.
Drugs have played a role here.
We're looking at every scenario possible in this. Nothing has been ruled out.
Do you believe that both victims knew the people who carried this out?
Hold on 1 second.
Captain, do you know why they were in Montgomery Village in that area?
No, that is one of the things that we're trying to determine. It was not close to the neighborhood. They would have no normal course of business in that neighborhood, on that street.
What do you
Yes,
know
ma'am.
about what
Hold-
they were
hold-
doing? Do you believe that both victims knew the people, and again, you said multiple caliber of weapons, so more than one shooter, and again, do you believe that both victims knew these people?
We believe there was more than one shooter. We cannot speak to who knew who. We just know that, we just believe that there's a connection between both, or at least one of the victims and the suspects.
What do you know about where they were that night?
I'm sorry?
What do you know about where the victims were that night? What did they do that night?
We know a number of things, but I can't comment on that. Thank you.
Did the phone's GPS help you at all with where they were?
There's a lot of forensic information that we're looking at. We're working with the telephone companies. It's a standard course of practice, and we are getting cooperation and getting information back.
If I could follow up, are both families cooperating with you on what they have told you about their sons?
Yes, both families have been very cooperative. They're very grief-stricken over this. They've given us, they are going through their minds and replaying the last month, 6 months, a year, to try and give us information that we can track down that may lead to who is responsible for this. Gentlemen, sir, you've been trying a couple times.
You mentioned you need someone to step forward and talk, but given the violence of this crime, you think that's going to be an uphill battle?
I hope not. I would hope that people would, again, do the right thing, but number two, understand that Montgomery County has a very good track record with people that come forward and give information. I would say that when I say do the safe thing, you have multiple shooters, multiple caliber weapon used, and a very violent act. I know we can offer the resources and the caring and the compassion to the people that have information. I don't think the same could be said for the individuals that carried out this act.
Forgive me, and you may have answered this, but I wanted to triple check here. Both phones from both victims, were they recovered from the vehicle that night?
I didn't comment on that, but we're looking at phone records.
It has been reported that one of the victims had money, a $20 bill, in his hand. Can you confirm that?
I cannot, sir.
Can you say, there was an interview that was done with Najir's mother last week, I believe, in which she seemed to give some kind of cryptic information that perhaps someone had approached her and said that they had information but were too afraid to come forward. Is that accurate?
We've had some people reach out to the family, just trying to help and give information, and some of it was cryptic. So that's why she portrayed it. That's why she portrayed it that way. Any information that we get from her or anyone else that comes in, we're looking into thoroughly.
Do you think fear is keeping people silent here? Can you talk about that?
I think there could be an aspect of fear. I would hope not, that it's not indifference. It's not, I don't want to get involved, I don't want to have a part in this. But I will tell you, we have seen cases before. In my 3 years now as the director here, we have seen cases of indifference. I hope that's not the case. That's not what Montgomery County residents expect out of people that live here.
Is there any indication that these shooters are involved in gang activity on MS-13?
Nothing reference MS-13, no.
Any possibility of maybe stick that?
That's always a possibility until we have someone in custody. That could be a possibility. Again, we're looking at every angle.
Captain, there was audio, and you mentioned the audio recording where the gunshots are very clearly heard.
Correct.
And then, if you listen carefully, it sounds like a car driving off. Did any of those audio recordings pick up any kind of, we don't hear screams, we don't hear an argument leading up to it. Again, I know this is a household recording, but is there anything to suggest that this was anything but like an ambush, or was there any protracted contact? Do you have anything related to that?
I don't have anything further to offer on that other than I think the audio clip kind of speaks for itself, and I don't want to extrapolate on it any further than that. Go ahead.
Surveillance, one way to base surveillance video of the car, the getaway car, because we understand that perhaps they went down a road, they had to turn around, because it's kind of like a cul-de-sac in some areas.
There were homes in the neighborhood that have surveillance video systems. I'm not going to comment on what we actually have.
Any evidence that the young man actually sold graduation tickets that evening?
I don't want to comment on that. I will comment that as we were working the crime scene, all of these cases are difficult for investigators. But as we were working the crime scene, I will tell you that the investigators involved, we did find graduation tickets. By the time we recovered them, we knew it was only a few hours away. Kind of changed the tenor of our mood. Changed a lot for us because we have kids. Graduation is supposed to be a fantastic day for them. They're moving on with their lives, and that really kind of changed things for us on the scene, just as far as how our emotions towards the case.
It's sort of on that tone, asking you to discuss this a little bit. There are hints that you don't want to discuss that perhaps these young men engaged in something that brought them in contact with someone who would do this.
Yes.
I think that's fair to say. You're acknowledging that.
Yes.
But that doesn't change how you're going about it.
Not at all. Not at all. There's we treat every homicide the same way. We have driven investigators, and I will tell you, all you have to do is talk to some families that are involved in our cold cases that suffer for 10 years, 20 years, 25 years, 40 years, and that in and of itself is heart-wrenching. That's why our major crimes detectives work to get these closed as fast as possible.
The chief last week said you're putting together a timeline.
Yes.
Can you say anything about where these two young men were before, or where they were, according to interviews with their friends, where they were planning to go?
We have a good deal of information, but I can't comment on it.
Have you served any search warrants?
No, we haven't served any search warrants references homicide.
The juror's father said that you believe that his son was the target. Can you comment on that?
No, I don't have any comment on that until we get the right person calling in with the right information and get the right people in handcuffs. I don't want to comment on that.
You said multiple caliber cases were found in Taunton. Can you specify how many multiple? 2, 3?
No, I'm not gonna give that detail out. All I can say is 30 rounds, 30 shell casings, and multiple calibers. Okay?
Does that mean you're looking for multiple people?
Yes. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, say that again?
Are you communicating with other police departments despite the time, or is all of this?
We are communicating with every resource possible to bring resolution to the case. If that includes other agencies, we'll contact them. We've sought out technical guidance from a number of different agencies so that we do best practices. Best practices today, one of the things about criminal justice and forensics is it is changing so fast that we want to be sure that month by month we're using the best processes available to analyze our evidence.
Are any federal agencies involved in the investigation?
Not directly involved. We have consulted. Again, mostly for technical guidance.
Captain, there's going to be a video at Northwest High School tonight. Do you believe that there should be extra security there?
Now, as I said, I do not believe, our experience shows that this is not random, that this was involved something between the parties, between the deceased and between the suspects that we need to get a hold of. What I do encourage is, look, we know that kids talk amongst all kinds of platforms nowadays. They talk well, not even Facebook anymore, Snapchat, texting, Wi-Fi. There's so many ways that they talk. We believe people are talking. We believe that there's probably a good chance that someone at Northwest High School knows something that they should share, that they should do the right thing, talk to their parents about it, do the right thing, and share the information that's going to take what is multiple violent suspects, take them into custody, and make it safer for the residents of Montgomery County. Okay, thank you, folks.
Like I would hope he does.
So guys, if you're just joining us here, this was a brief update from Montgomery County Police on that double murder. Those two boys, I think they were 17 and 18, shot in the Honda Civic that was parked on the side of the road in Montgomery Village a day before their graduation. It's really a crazy case investigation, but it sounds like they have some new information. You can click along on the link that we posted right below this for more on the background of that story. But the new stuff coming out today is that police believe the victims did know the perpetrator in this case. One was shot 10 times, one was shot 4 times, and they did find officially 30 rounds, so 30 shell casings around in the scene. So some new evidence coming out, some new facts in this case. Quite a scary case this was. We followed this earlier this month. It happened on June 5th. And again, for more information, go ahead and click that link below to read up on the story. We're going to continue to cover this case as new details come out. So stay with us for that coverage on fox5dc.com, here on our Facebook page, YouTube, and Instagram, every platform. Thanks, guys. Hey guys, YouTube, we are back in the newsroom. Justin, thanks for joining us and commenting here. We're going to be covering the daily events and news that's taking place. And actually right now, before we miss it, I want to jump right up to Taunton, Massachusetts. You guys have probably heard about this case. It was the texting involuntary manslaughter case where this girl was trying to convince her boyfriend to commit suicide. It's been in the news quite a bit. And actually, we have footage right now inside that courtroom as the verdict, I think, comes down. So we're going to take you up there right away, and then you'll join us back down here in D.C. shortly.
That the court did not find that analysis correct. Ms. Carter, please stand. This court, having reviewed the evidence and applied the law thereto, now finds you guilty on the indictment charging you with the involuntary manslaughter of the person Conrad Roy III. This court further finds that the Commonwealth has proven beyond a reasonable doubt that you are a youthful offender and you are a Judge Scholl at this time. You may be seated. That verdict is now recorded and it is in writing as well. Commonwealth, do you wish to be heard?
The Commonwealth moves for sentencing, Your Honor.
Pardon me?
The Commonwealth moves for sentencing.
Sentencing is not appropriate at this time. Chapter 119, Section 58 requires that a pre-sentencing report be prepared and given to the judge before sentencing can be imposed.
Understood, Your Honor. With that, the Commonwealth would ask that Ms. Carter's bail be revoked and she be taken into custody.
And the basis for that request?
She's now been convicted of a felony, and clearly she's a danger not only to others, but based on the testimony, to herself.
All right, thank you. Mr. Cataldo, Mr. Madeira, do you wish to be heard on the Commonwealth's request?
Yes, I ask you not to revoke the bail, Your Honor. This case has been pending for a couple of years now. She showed up each and every time. She's obeyed the conditions, all the conditions that she had of her release, and I do not think that the evidence shows that she is a danger to the public if she's released.
Mr. Cataldo, are you willing to inquire of your client as to whether she has a passport?
Yes, one moment, please. No, she does not have a passport,
All right.
Your Honor.
The court notes that, as Mr. Cataldo points out, this case has a long history. To my knowledge, Ms. Carter has never failed to appear. When she was interviewed by the police at the King Philip Regional High School, she was cooperative with that interview. She's cooperative with allowing the police into her home. I believe that revised conditions of bail release will suffice to secure the concerns of the Commonwealth, as well as to allow for the completion of the sentencing report before it is done. Consequently, Mr. Cataldo, assuming that your client accepts the following conditions, I will allow her to remain on bail. She will have no contact with any member of the Roy family or any of the witnesses who have testified in this case. And by no contact, obviously I mean no texting, no Facebook, no Snapchat, none of those things that provide for any type of direct or indirect communication, including, of course, anything through a third party. She shall not apply for nor obtain a passport. She shall not leave the Commonwealth of Massachusetts except by further order of this court, but I do not restrict that to just me in the event I am not available. A request may be made of any judge who is sitting here in the juvenile court. Commonwealth, recognizing the court's position on this, do you have any other requests as to additional bail conditions of release?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
All right, okay. I'm going to ask that the probation sentencing report be provided by July 21st. Can that be done?
Yes.
Thank you very much, Ms. Taylor. I want the attorneys to understand that it is the position of this judge that sentencing reports prepared by the probation department are for the judge. In fairness, since I give them careful reflection in coming to a sentencing determination, I will allow the attorneys, as well as any necessary individuals within the district attorney's office, to be provided with one copy that may be read by those individuals that I have just identified, and that Mr. Cataldo, you, Mr. Madeira, and your legal defense team may similarly be provided with one copy. It is not a public document. It is not filed with the clerk's office, and there is no public access to that document. So you are prohibited from disseminating any of the information contained in that sentencing report to any individual other than within your own defense or prosecution team. Now, that being done on July 21st, I would like to see if we could schedule a sentencing hearing, perhaps for the week of July 31st, subject, of course, to the respect that I have for people's vacations, or the first week in August.
August 3rd, please.
I'm sorry,
August 3.
What day is that? I don't know.
Thursday.
Is that okay, Madam Clerk?
That's fine, Judge.
All right. And this matter will stand continued to August 3rd for a sentencing hearing. We'll be in recess until that date. Counsel, I have a copy of the verdict for all of you if you'd like.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Wow, that is quite the case, guys. I don't know if you've been following it, but that is a wild, wild case. So right there, Carter, that found guilty of involuntary manslaughter. You saw her face at the end of that. I'd love to get a little more insight into sort of what's going on right now in the courtroom, but our feed just dropped. But I don't know if you've been following it. Kind of a crazy case up there in Massachusetts. Michelle Carter, 20 years old, now found guilty of basically assisting or urging her then boyfriend or ex-boyfriend who was 18 to commit suicide. And Cam, you've been reading a little more on this.
Yeah, I was just going through some of the text messages and stuff online that she sent, basically encouraging him to commit suicide in multiple cases, kind of asking why he hadn't already done it, or if he was even committed, kind of goading him almost into doing it. Really, stunning stuff.
Yeah, it's wild. And now, of course, with everything being on record, like they're saying, texts and every way that we communicate now, I mean, everything's out there. They have that record. You can read the text that she sent online. Obviously, prosecutors arguing that she drove him to suicide and she was part of it. The defense was arguing that she was dragged into this suicide that this troubled kid had long wanted to commit. And so just a really interesting case there. A lot of, I think, mental health and depression issues surrounding a lot of that as well. I see that some of you guys are commenting on this. Brian, thanks for joining us. Good morning. Thanks for coming in to our show. So that's all we had on that. Guys, we also have a live shot right now. Take a look inside the Montgomery County courtroom, or courthouse that is, in Pennsylvania. This is Norristown, Pennsylvania, waiting still on that Bill Cosby final verdict as well. So that is a deadlocked jury, as we heard yesterday, and we still await to see what's going to happen there. I don't think I have any sound on this. I think it could happen at any time, but we're just kind of watching our tweets and seeing what's going to happen next.
Yeah, I mean, anytime that the jury either figures out their differences and comes to a unanimous conclusion, which really could be any time, then we'll get an update. Or, as I talked about yesterday, I mean, that could just not happen. We could be looking at eventually a hung jury and a mistrial. So.
Right. And we had, I think we're going to jump back up. This might be outside, I think, the courtroom in Massachusetts. I think someone might be speaking shortly. So we'll just kind of listen and watch so we can bring this to you live, because it looks like that's our feed that's still coming in. They just switched the shot. So we'll be back up with you guys shortly. Let us know what your questions or comments, guys, in the chat, and we'll chat along with you and try to answer some of them as well as we stay up on this case.
Check. 1, 1, 1. Check. All good?
Say it again.
Hey guys, yeah, so Aurelio, I'm seeing your comments there saying she didn't force him to commit suicide. Yeah, definitely one take on the matter, a lot of opposing kind of opinion on how to really rule this case, but obviously clearly here just a few moments ago, prosecutors winning this, essentially saying that Michelle Carter drove her 18-year-old then boyfriend. I believe he was then boyfriend. Maybe they were exes.
No, I believe then boyfriend. In the they use terms like baby.
Yeah.
At the end of.
Okay, the text.
Yeah,
That's
text.
so odd to me. It's really a weird case to me. And again, I think this is still outside that courtroom. We're kind of switching sources here, so we'll make sure you know what is what when we can confirm who is about to speak here. But a lot of courtroom drama today. We're waiting on Cosby as well. That has not come down yet. Deadlock jury we're hearing still going on. And so there are reporters waiting there and waiting for everything to come down. And then also this case up in Massachusetts, her boyfriend, 18 years old, poisoned himself by inhaling carbon monoxide in his pickup truck. And honestly, most of this case was built on her, Michelle Carter's, own words, because this all came really from her text messages. That was a lot of the evidence, and I'm reading more about it. When it's there in writing, it's out there. So. Yeah,
and communication is now just such an important part of kind of all these criminal investigations. I mean, we saw in the other case that we just got an update on, the double homicide, they were looking at text messages, Snapchat, other forms of communication to just try and find out exactly what may have led to or identify suspects in that case.
Oh yeah, and there's like we were saying, there's so many platforms to look into now. So if there becomes a big case, police, FBI, whoever are looking into everything that we use: text, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, anything that we use digitally. We use it here on our show. We use it in the digital world of news and media, obviously, and all that to disseminate information. All those things need to be looked at. So there's so many things for cops to basically leave no stones unturned to investigate this case. And Brian, I'm seeing your comment here saying some people may have encouraging words that make you do things you didn't think you would do without them in your ear. So yeah, the other side to this as well. And definitely throughout this case, obviously the judge heard the defense and the prosecution take both of those sides. And now we're seeing this guilty verdict. I guess I was hearing on August 3rd, they'll be doing a retrial or a follow-up? There was something.
Sentencing trial.
So like what will come down for her? What will happen?
So like whether she'll go to jail for how long, that kind of stuff.
Wow. I know there was a question at the end if she had a passport or not, because they wanted to make sure she wouldn't leave the country. I think in this time.
So she is still out on bail. That the prosecutors obviously tried to get her taken back into custody and bail revoked, but the judge ruled against that under a series of conditions, including obviously that she would stay in the country, which is why the passport question was relevant.
Right.
And then at the sentencing trial, that's when she will find out exactly what is happening.
I'm reading now, if convicted and if this plays out and this is her sentencing, she could spend 20 years in prison. So that, I guess that was the max. Possibly she'd be 40 when she'd come out. Really, really interesting stuff. 20-year-old here. Involuntary manslaughter in the death of her boyfriend. Crazy. The defense basically argued that it was a tragic scenario, but not a homicide, that she was dragged into it. And it's been a pretty closely watched case in Massachusetts. Reading, a lot more about it here. So, we'll keep an eye on this, guys. I'm not quite sure what this press conference is about right now, but we'll make sure we bring that to you guys live. Stay with us here. We're bringing you live events, breaking news, trending videos, whatever we got going on today. It's Friday, June 16th, so thanks for joining us. Molly and Cam here in the digital newsroom. Okay, cool. I'm seeing some of your chats here. Thanks for watching, Brian. Thanks for tuning in. Please do come back and see us. And Aurelio, I'm seeing that you're taking back your comment because you read the text messages. Wild, right? Some of it is pretty descriptive in there. For how she pushed him to do it. And that's obviously what the judge found as well from that evidence there today. So let's see what this is all about here. Probably a few more minutes. We'll see what's going on here. We'll check back in with you guys.
Good afternoon. I know that the members of the media here, my name is Jennifer Donahue, the Public Information Officer for the court system. Anyone who isn't the pool camera has already been asked to disassemble and break down. I ask that you now do that in order that we can make media availability as parties may want to talk to the media. These were predetermined earlier. Everyone was represented here. So hopefully you can talk amongst yourselves. If anyone didn't get the memo, Rule 119 rules are in effect. That's one pool camera for TV. That's one pool camera for still. That's one radio setup. and that is as many print journalists and TV journalists who want to be in here. This is to allow for the space that is needed. This isn't the White House press room, it's not big enough to accommodate this much.
We're not allowed to shoot in the hallways, correct?
No, you're not allowed to shoot in the hallways. Rule 19 actually only covers the courtroom. In order to help you do your jobs, we've made this room available so that you can get whatever comments are made without knowing where they're gonna happen.
So,
But
Jen,
Rule
may I suggest,
119 is in effect.
in order to expedite this, let's just go with what we had initially agreed to as to who was to be represented pools.
Yes,
And
why
the
don't,
others.
that's right, that's
Right,
right.
why don't we just go
Okay,
with
so if your pool, we don't determine who the pool is, you all do. So if your pool, please raise your hand and announce who you are.
Trung, we are 7.
Channel 7 is pool, and who's feeding that pool?
Channel 7 to CNN.
To CNN, which is putting it up on the satellite?
And all of the
Does everybody have coordinates?
No, we can't get coordinates out there because we're on different satellites.
Well, we can give you the coordinates or you can get a tape feed.
Or it's a
That's-
tape, do we
I've
agree
heard about
with
that,
Your
but you
desk
can
was
work
given
that
a
out?
agree with pool.
Okay, and David, can you tell us what your
Right,
situation is?
WBUR, I'm all set.
Do you want me
We'll
to send
make
you the coordinates,
copies
Beth?
after this.
I don't know. I mean, your desk should have
I
that.
thought we were recording it back here.
I'm sorry, none of that was the case. Really? Yeah, no, I think, well, I don't know if they'll speak out there, but I do know that I've been in communication with the DA's office. And
Hey Daryl, what's up? Just checking in. Thanks for watching us. We are hanging out in our digital newsroom. You guys can see we're kind of enclosed today. A little bit of paper wall behind us. They're getting some new stuff going on in the newsroom, so we'll be surprising you guys with that next week, possibly. So we're here in our little hub looking at just what's coming in live for us. Today we had a couple interesting stuff, breaking information from Montgomery County, Maryland about the double homicide, those 2 boys that were shot in the car before their graduation. So just some new details emerging about that. They're still looking for the killer there. There's an upped reward, new information about what was found on the scene. Then we took you guys inside the courtroom here in Taunton, Massachusetts, with this suicide texting case where Michelle Carter was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter just a few moments ago. And then we're going to be jumping around too. Take a live look here of the Bill Cosby situation. This is inside, I think, yeah, the courthouse here in Norristown, Pennsylvania. We're still waiting on that verdict here. It could come down at any time. And so we'll try to bring that to you live. We're going to have that camera hopefully up most of the afternoon here. So anyway, just checking in with you. Thanks for watching from Nova Scotia. How cool is that? That's awesome. Must be beautiful up there. I've never been, but
I've also never been. That's far.
that is far. I've always wanted to see that beautiful area of Canada, but I haven't been. How are the mussels and everything up there? Like the seafood. It's supposed to be amazing. And okay, so let's take you back to what we are think we're scoping out. This press conference that's coming up next. I'm going to get you some more information on what this is as it comes down, guys. And we're going to stay here and then jump around to some other live video, maybe some coverage from last night's congressional baseball game as well, which was a really, really cool event here in Washington. So stay with us, guys. We'll bring you all the breaking stuff as it happens. Yeah, we'll be back with you guys soon.
Then we'll put the request out to both sides.
Well, what ordinance are we able to pull that down, or do we have to get a tape feed after?
You have cameras, don't you?
Yeah.
I know, right, but you'll get whatever.
Oh, you are? Where? Which camera? Am I waving at it? You're looking at the... I know, am I waving at you? We're getting it back to the station, it's okay. No, we're getting it back. No, which camera? We have access to that. Yeah, that's okay. I just checked with them and they are getting this back. In the bag.
Is anyone else having difficulty getting the actual satellite feed from CNN coordinates or
because I called my son. That's great. I'm looking at it right now. I was like, oh, okay, we're fine. Then we're getting it. So I guess they pressed that. Hold on, wait, I'm in like a yellow sweater. I am in front of the camera in a yellow sweater and like a flowery shirt. I'm in front of yeah, okay, great. Fantastic. And we're rolling, right? That's also a ridiculous question. Okay, someone is rolling. I'll take care of it. I know that's like a ridiculous question, but if you could check, that would be amazing. Thanks so much. And you're welcome. Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right, bye. I know.
Hey guys, if you are still on with us, you can tell they're getting ready for this shot in what we believe is going to be a press conference. Lots of news coverage there regarding, I believe, what is to be this case. Now, we haven't quite gotten confirmation on what is happening on this source, but we know that just moments ago, the judge read the verdict and Michelle Carter was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter in this suicide texting case, that if you guys have been following it. So we're going to keep watching here and see what happens, what kind of new information we get from this press conference. But in other news too, as we watch this, I was thinking about this. Some of you might be following, of course, the big shooting in Alexandria that we covered all day Wednesday that broke out early morning, 7 a.m. on Wednesday. And there's actually an update from a Capitol Hill producer for Fox News who updated us on Steve Scalise. He was he's the House Majority Whip who was hit in the hip and bleeding on the baseball field. So apparently the most up-to-date news is that Scalise is appearing to be doing slightly better. There's no official change on a day or so to rest after 2 rounds of surgeries. They could go back in to do more surgeries additionally if needed. And he officially is still in critical condition. So that is Steve Scalise's situation. The other lobbyist, Matt Micah, who was the lobbyist for Tyson's Food, was in critical condition as well as of last night. So that's just a little update on that. And the park is still closed. That dog park and other athletic fields around the area are still closed in Alexandria, Virginia. It's possible they could reopen some of it later today. So we're going to be continuing to follow on this story as everything kind of comes to light, as the FBI sheds more light on the suspect, of course, the assailant who was killed in the attack. And a big act of heroism, of course, for the Capitol Police, who were honored last night also at the congressional baseball game. So we have a clip of that to show you guys later, but I want to keep watching here so we don't miss this press conference. But anyway, a source told Fox earlier this morning that they've been going through the crime scene, very detailed. The ballistics investigation continues for the FBI. So we wait and we watch for more updates on that and hope that they're okay, and grateful for just those injuries and not anything further than that. That was a crazy day Wednesday. It was crazy.
Absolutely insane. I mean, we were in here and up
all day,
literally from 9 to or 8:30 even to 4:15 or something.
Yep.
Following, getting updates, doing everything we can. It was definitely the craziest day since I've gotten here.
Yeah, definitely. And it was wild. We just walk in, you never know what's going to be a big day, and Wednesday proved to be just that. So if you watched our coverage, let us know, and let us know how you're following the case and the story. We're going to continue to bring you those breaking updates because we're watching our tweets and everything like that. So yeah, that's news regarding that case. Of course, the Cosby case, the trial is still ongoing. We're going to be getting probably in and out exterior and interior shots of that courthouse in Pennsylvania. And if anything comes down from there, we'll bring that to you also. All right, guys. So we're going to check back in to this, what looks to be a press conference in Massachusetts. after the woman, Michelle Carter, age 20, was just found guilty of involuntary manslaughter. So let's check back in. This should hopefully be starting shortly here.
So was it to get back in?
Just want to check for you. Anybody missing a cell phone? Missing a cell phone? Got mine.
There's also a site
I can't. I can hear you. Yeah, that's fine. No, I know that. That I've seen. Yep. So the key in this decision is, it's interesting, and I think we have time to get it. It's the firefighters who died with Mr. Fire in 1981. Two homeless people caused the fire by an accident with Dr. Campbell. They left. They did not report it. So the case against them was dismissed when a lower court judge determined that there was no duty to report. They had no duty to report the fire. It was reversed. It was reversed by the High Court, and they decided in that case. What? They essentially ruled that there was a responsibility having created.
So we're officially okay. I think we'll be fine. Jennifer's still not on number.
Because if we do that, we should pass that mic around
to the same.
to who's ever asking.
Okay. Make sure Alexandra's going to come in here. I'm going to go outside.
Great. I work well with her.
I'm sure you do.
Hey, Daryl, thanks for your question. While we wait for this to come up, I'm going to play you the story on the now captured escaped inmates from Georgia. Good question. We've been following this case. The two escaped inmates shot and killed correctional officers in Georgia on Tuesday. Remember, they were still on the run as of yesterday. They have now been captured. I'm going to play you this story so I can bring you up to speed on this. This is from our sister station in Atlanta. Check it out.
And a threatening letter and suspicious powder sent to the home of Republican candidate Karen Handel and to Fox 5, why authorities believe they could be connected. Plus, Atlanta United is getting ready to square off against the Columbia Crew. Veteran sports commentator Alan Green and Fox Sports South Sideline reporter Brittany Arnold will join me to talk about this weekend's televised game. But we begin with a developing story. Two escaped inmates are back behind bars after leading authorities on a 3-day crime spree. Ricky DeBose and Donnie Russell Rowe were caught in Tennessee yesterday. Pair is accused of killing 2 corrections officers, then carjacking several people. And Fox 5 has been on top of the story since we first learned about it. Our team coverage begins with Good Day's Nathalie Pozo, who's live from the Rutherford County Jail where those suspects are being held. Nathalie, good morning.
Good morning, Elise. The inmates were brought here to the Rutherford County Jail in Tennessee last night after a 3-day massive manhunt across several states. Officials are crediting law enforcement officers for their tireless efforts in this capture, but also 2 homeowners who they say held the inmates at gunpoint until authorities arrived. These are the photos taken moments after escaped inmates Donnie Rowe and Ricky DeBose were captured in Tennessee, ending a 3-day massive manhunt.
And it's true bravery is what's caused us to be able to stand here before you tonight and talk about a successful capture instead of a tragic incident.
Tennessee authorities say DeBose and Rowe dumped the Georgia stolen pickup truck in Moore County in Tennessee, then stole another vehicle and traveled to Shelbyville, where they held an elderly couple hostage, stealing their vehicle after 6 Thursday evening.
Somehow, the couple had the wherewithal to break free and notify authorities, and that was absolutely critical.
Rutherford County deputies spotted the stolen vehicle and a pursuit began. The sheriff says the inmates fired several rounds at the deputies. The bullets hit these patrol vehicles, brought back to the sheriff's office late Thursday night. Investigators say the inmates crashed on I-24 near mile marker 91 and took off on foot. Authorities say Rowe and DeBose tried to steal another vehicle from a home, but the armed homeowner spotted them.
The homeowner stepped out and held the people there by gunpoint until another neighbor came to assist him. And at that point in time, the Rutherford County Sheriff's Department was alerted, and they arrived on scene and apprehended the 2 suspects without any incident.
Officials commending the homeowners and law enforcement officers for their bravery and tireless efforts.
These are murderers, cold-blooded murderers, and we did what it took to bring them into custody.
And Georgia officials say when the inmates shot and killed the correction officers, they used the officers' weapons. We are told by Tennessee officials that they did find 2 guns at the crash site on I-24. It is unclear whether or not those are the weapons that belonged to those officers. Reporting live this morning in Tennessee, Nathalie Pozo. Good day, Atlanta.
All right, Natalie. So that was a little update there from our sister station in Atlanta. I wanted to make sure we got all the details there, so we played that one out. That is just crazy. I didn't actually know all the details of how they had stolen another car, and then somehow, like the officer was saying, that older couple had the wherewithal to be able to call and notify authorities, which is what they were asking people to do out in the public if they saw those faces. Crazy.
Yeah, and then the one home, and then the way that they were actually caught with a homeowner armed with a gun,
right,
essentially holding them hostage, seeing them and then holding them at gunpoint until another neighbor came over, and then finally the authorities got there and took them into custody. That's really just an amazing story of the public helping out.
I know, and just to have the ability to be able to hold those 2 guys, like they said, cold-blooded murderers at gunpoint, to have the strength and ability to do that, and then also leading them again. I think on the chase, there was the crash, and then they took off on foot. I mean, just the details of the story are crazy. So first, someone called 911. A vehicle was spotted again. Then it fled. There was a chase with high speeds over 100 miles an hour. Shots were fired during the chase. I'm just reading more details here. So crazy. That really was like a multi-day ordeal for them to find these guys who killed the correctional officers on their escape. So anyway, I guess a good kind of wrapped up ending to that story, but still pretty crazy stuff. So thanks for asking. That was the update on the 2 inmates who were captured. Totally crazy. Thanks, Graham, for watching. Yeah, it's nuts. And those pictures too in that moment.
Yeah. No, the just covered in tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
And going back to prison now. So
going back to prison for even more charges, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? One was in his 40s.
And one
was in his 20s. Yeah, I'm trying to effort more details here.
But both were serving, I believe, life sentences.
I think that's right.
Without bail, I believe, for both of them.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess I don't know how much worse it can actually get for them.
I know. Good point. I need to do a little more research on this. Yeah, but it all started when they escaped from that prison van, killed those officers, and then were on the run. And I guess alerting the public makes sense because technically they can't get too far. So those little towns, those counties that they went through, he actually mentioned Shelbyville, Kentucky, which I actually knew someone from in college, so I know that town.
From Shelbyville?
I think because that's Kentucky, unless there's another town that they were referencing, but because she was reporting from Tennessee, but I believe that's where she said they made a pit stop, and possibly where they saw that the older couple who alerted authorities. But yeah, that's kind of a crazy story. So anyway, guys, let us know any more questions that you have. We're going to continue to keep you updated. Here's a live shot now outside of that Montgomery County Courthouse in Norristown, Pennsylvania, waiting still. That's where Bill Cosby is right now, inside those doors, and waiting for some type of decision from the jury that is now deadlocked and then has been deadlocked for quite some time now, as far as we're hearing.
5 hours or so.
Oh my goodness.
At least. It was 30 yesterday when the judge told them to go back in. So lots and lots of time spent deliberating. I'm not sure what really is going to change at this point.
Yeah. In other news, did you guys hear that while we still wait on these press conferences, did you hear that Amazon is buying Whole Foods?
Yeah, for I forget the exact figures. It's something like
$13 billion?
$13 billion. A little bit over 13. It's 13 point something.
13.7
billion dollars.
Anybody have that kind of cash lying
Wow.
around? I'd love to grab that. Wait, yeah. So they're saying, according to some reports, they sent a shockwave through the grocery industry when it announced plans to buy Whole Foods. I have a good friend who actually works for Amazon in Chicago, said that she came into work today and had just heard the announcement herself, and everyone was kind of happy at work, and it's causing some, of course, some talk about that, but really interesting type of partnership there, I think. But Amazon is, leading so many things, and the food industry as well was one of them.
They're acquiring more and more things, and
right.
really taking over the online shipping industry and online shopping, obviously. So just continuing to expand.
Yeah, I'm reading. Whole Foods has a fleet of stores now, more than 430 locations. So just by the numbers, thinking about that. The organic grocer, it was founded in 1978. And apparently I'm reading that the CEO, who has gotten some fame, I think, from his book and whatnot, John Mackey, will remain CEO after this purchase. The company will also keep its headquarters in Austin, Texas, where it's been. But this will be an interesting merger here to see how they can kind of finagle their prices and their services and the organic food world and how it does after this partnership. Let me know your thoughts on that, guys. Anybody thinking about the Amazon purchase of Whole Foods? Let us know in the comments as we continue to monitor still the situation in Massachusetts. We believe we're waiting on some people to speak here, still kind of efforting this. All right, guys, we'll be back with this shortly.
Right. Yeah, that was the problem. I was trying to pause.
Thank you, sir.
It was terrible. We were able to get him, we sent him back to the station, and they were able to somehow do it, but it was a nightmare to deal.
You have your laptop?
Not for lack of trying.
Well, I have. You're all set. Oh, I have one of that.
About the day or just the life in general? Okay, let's see. It was because they told the parents
Hey, Daryl, seeing your question here. Yeah, Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post. I'm also reading he's the second richest man in the world next to Bill Gates. Pretty interesting stuff. So Amazon and Washington Post owner, of course, and now acquiring through Amazon, acquiring Whole Foods. So some interesting stuff to come out of that. Yeah, interesting guy to read about, I think. I kind of want to do a little more digging on him and his life. Yeah, thanks for your question.
Did you see the awful lot? It looks good. I heard. Dennis? I think Cammy goes there with her family.
Well.
All right, guys, since I promised you we'd show you some of the footage from last night, you got to check this out. A really cool, poignant moment, bipartisan unity last night at Nationals Park here in D.C. for the congressional baseball game. Of course, this was the game that the Republicans who were shot at that baseball field on Wednesday were practicing for, as they did many mornings over there in Alexandria. So while we await this press conference, I'm going to bring you over to a clip from the beginning of that game. We got it all on tape, and it was really a gorgeous night. I didn't get to go. Cam didn't also get to go. But I kind of wanted to be there, but didn't get to last night. But check this out. They honored, of course, the congressmen and women and the Capitol Police member, David Bailey, who actually got to throw out the first pitch last night on his crutches. Kind of a cool moment there. We'll play this out for you here.
Performance of the stars and banner and God bless America. Performing the national anthem this evening, we welcome the Congressional Chorus, directed by David Simmons.
Just checking in with you guys. This was a last night, the coverage of the congressional baseball game here, and they had a lot of sort of gearing up and fanfare before the game, honoring, of course, the heroes and the players and the congressmen who were involved and the injured who were involved in that shooting on Wednesday. They go into a little more here. I was hearing details that more than double the crowd showed up last night than last year, which is kind of cool, which makes sense based on this week's events. And then they go on here to honor David Bailey, who gets to come out and throw out the first pitch. So keep watching and you'll get to see it. So this is David Bailey here, one of the heroes from the Capitol Police, one of the Capitol Police members that was there, who was there. And there he is on his crutches, hobbling up to throw out the pitch. It's kind of cool. Lots of cheers from the fans. And seems like a cool guy. I think we'd love to chat with him. We really need to see our people get an interview with him. Hopefully we can. He throws it out. I think he throws as best he can, right? Nice. He's a kid, what can I do, dude? I'm on crutches.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like he has one. And then
too much for that.
so he took away his other one. Yeah, it's crazy that he was even able to do that. It'd be really interesting to hear his account and his point of view later on with that scenario. I wonder how his memory is from that moment. But there he goes. He puts him down, takes a couple pics. Kind of a cute moment. It would have been really cool to see this. Let us know if you were there. If you guys are in the DC area and you're watching this last night or have any comments, let us know. So if you guys can take a peek here to the other guy on crutches right there, I believe that is the aide. So the congressional aide to Roger Williams, Representative Roger Williams, Zach Barth in the hat there, in that light blue shirt. So I'm not quite sure what they do for him. But if you see there, you see a lot of players actually in LSU gear, the purple and yellow there to honor Steve Scalise, who's from Louisiana.
Midday package on the congressional shooting will be on the
All right, guys, so just a little snippet from last night and the fanfare sort of surrounding the beginning of that game. We're back in studio here. It's Molly and Cam, intern Cam and me on a Friday going into the weekend. Looking forward to it?
I need the weekend to be here. I'm ready for it.
Dude, it was a long week. We had a lot of
long
crazy breaking news, a lot of crazy stuff that we were trying to cover all over the place, including, of course, Wednesday, right in the middle of the week, hit us with that shooting. Now, we're going to continue to have updates on the Alexandria shooting. We'll bring them to you as we have them. Updates on the condition, of course, of the injured in that case. And if we get any more information coming out about that shooting, we'll bring it to you. But also, I'm going to bring you this now, an update on the London fire. It was in West London. That happened overnight on Tuesday night. I came in Wednesday morning thinking, we'd be talking about that, recapping it, looking into what's happening. I remember when I came in Wednesday, they didn't know how many were dead. They did not have a number on it. They knew upwards of 20 people or so were injured, but not a death number. Today, they broke that 30 have died in that fire. Really, really scary. That's the death toll right now. They're saying that a lot of the bodies may not even be identified after this. So just a few moments ago, guys, police updated the situation in West London. I'm going to bring you that video here. Listen in.
Work through to identify the final number. And it's an ongoing process between us, the families we're engaged with, and indeed the information that's been received by Casualty Bureau. As soon as we have a number that I am content is accurate, I would be sharing that. So everybody within hospitals has been identified and their families are aware. And say one more question.
Early on in the incident, it was a rapidly developing fire. We asked for additional resources and we made a very rapid assessment and called for 40 fire appliances. Because of the speed of the fire and the travel of the fire, we committed as many resources as physically possible into that building with the resources we had. Because of the ferocity of the fire and the challenges, it was a case of every firefighter, every officer, every call handler that was dealing with those calls was heavily involved in that incident. We utilised all the resources, both from control, when speaking to people within the building, and also the people on the scene, from the most junior firefighter to the most senior officer present, were all committed to that building. In my view, we did everything we possibly could within the timescale we had to carry out those search and rescue activities.
But there would have been decisions made on the night by lots of people in the emergency services, which would be very, very challenging decisions that have been made. The bravery showed by the firefighters that went into that building, I think we all acknowledge and pay tribute to.
Is everyone ready?
No, one second.
Hold on, sir.
Hey, right now, right
Hold
now,
on.
the father right now.
Everyone, Trump, you all set? Sir, okay.
I am Conrad Roy Jr., Coco's father. On behalf of our entire family, I would like to say how thankful we are to Judge Moniz and the prosecution team, mainly Katie Rayburn, Mary Claire Flynn, and Scott Gordon in the Haven Police Department and the Massachusetts State Police. This has been a very tough time for our family, and we'd like to just process this verdict that we're happy with.
So a super short statement there. I jumped you over really fast so we could grab that from the father of the boy who killed himself.
Yeah.
Conrad Roy, is it?
I believe so, is his name.
Yeah, I wasn't, I thought this was going to be a longer kind of reaction, possibly from both sides, or maybe we will hear from someone else. But if you caught that, guys, wow, the father of the teen, 18 years old, who committed suicide in his car, and where Michelle Carter was just found guilty of involuntary manslaughter, just said that they were happy with the verdict and they're taking time to process it. Thanked a few people, and that was that. So, yeah, an ongoing story here. Developments kind of continue with this story. I think other people have a chance to kind of speak here. I think they kind of stay. The journalists kind of stay around to gather what they can from people that will be coming out and making statements. But yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if we'll get a statement from
the other side.
Carter's team. Yeah, in response to her being found guilty of involuntary manslaughter. You would expect so, but I guess there's a chance that we won't.
Yeah, looks like our cameras are staying up there. That's what this is the stream that we have in. We've had it in for quite some time, so perhaps this is the time that people come to comment. Let's see who's next here. Here we go.
Hi,
Hey guys.
prosecution is coming through.
Just to let you know, it's going to be Katie Rayburn's going to be speaking. She's going to give a brief statement. Because we still have sentencing phase in this case, she's not going to take any questions today.
Spell her name, please. Can you spell Katie?
Katie-Rayburn. The case is still open. The laws basically tell us we should not answer questions. So just give me a minute.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
afternoon. Since we still have to return to court for the sentencing phase of this case, I will keep my comments brief and save many of the thank yous to everyone involved until the sentencing on August 13, 2017. Although we are very pleased with the verdict, in reality, there are no winners here today. Conrad, an 18-year-old boy, is dead, and a young woman is now convicted of causing his death. Two families have been torn apart and will be affected by this for years to come. With that being said, we fervently hope today's guilty verdict will bring some measure of justice to the friends and family of Conrad Roy and provide them with some opportunity for closure. This has been an extremely emotionally draining process for everyone involved. We thank Judge Monis for his careful consideration of this case. He was thoughtful throughout the pendency of the case and during the trial. We believe he closely examined all of the evidence and arrived at the same conclusion as our entire prosecution team did. The defendant's actions in this case constituted involuntary manslaughter. We fully understand that this was a unique case that dealt with a lot of important issues in our society today. But in the end, the case was really about one young man and one young woman who were brought together by tragic circumstances. The evidence clearly showed, but not for the actions of Michelle Carter, Conrad Roy would still have been alive the morning of July 13, 2014. We sincerely want to thank the Roy family for their strength, courage, patience, and dignity they have displayed through this 3-year-long ordeal. They allowed us to share who Conrad Roy was with the world. Throughout this process, we have gotten to know a lot about who he was. He was a wonderful young man who had his whole life in front of him. He was making efforts to better himself and to find his way through a difficult stage of his life. I know we all wish that he had the opportunity to grow up into adulthood, to become a tugboat captain, and to enjoy his future. Given the nature of this case, I would like to conclude by reminding everyone that if you have a loved one in need, or you know someone in need of help, or you yourself is having suicidal thoughts, please tell someone or pick up the phone and call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, 1-800-273-TALK. And we'll see everyone on August 3rd, 2017 for sentencing, and I want to thank everyone.
Can we ask what precedent is that?
Sorry, no questions. Thank
Can you
you.
tell us who's behind you here?
This is the chief of police, this is Scott Gordon, the detective, and these are members of the family.
Thank you.
Wow, so definitely an emotional statement, an emotional end here to this case. And what I didn't realize, and Cam was alerting me to this happened years ago, 3 years ago. So it sounds like, so he was 18 then, would have probably been 21 this year. And it's been ongoing. They've had to look into this case for years and years and go through it all. And then today it came down that she's guilty of involuntary manslaughter. So I think she said the date wrong the first time, but it sounds like they're going to be going to the sentencing trial will be August 3rd. So coming up this summer for this case. And the father of that boy there showing emotion, of course, at the end of that quick statement from the prosecution. Yeah.
Yeah, really just a tragic story. As she started that with, I mean, there really are no winners in a case like this.
Yeah. She started that with that, and it's so true. And I loved also that they focused on the suicide prevention hotline as well, that was a huge part of this. I think that's definitely an emotional thing for the father to hear, but if it could prevent something else, I think that's important for them to state. So interesting end to that, guys. So we lost our feed up there in Massachusetts, but check it out right here. We're over in Pennsylvania, getting ready for a live shot here from Fox News. We might take it if he has some new information, but look at all the news crews there outside the courthouse with Cosby. That's where Bill Cosby is. That's where the jury is still deadlocked, or so we know right now, waiting on that decision as well. So lots of court cases going on right now.
Yeah.
Crazy. I see the Stig that you're on with us. Thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting. Yeah, definitely a crazy case with the texting, whether or not she was guilty or not. People on both sides of that story, kind of interesting to read through the text. You can read them online and see for yourself what you think. Let's bring the sound up here. Nope, nothing new going on there. Guys, you were following probably earlier the Georgia inmates case. They were captured last night after a chase into Tennessee. Those two inmates, one in his 20s, one in his 40s, that killed two correctional officers when they were being transported via a van. They escaped, grabbed the guns of those officers and killed them. There was an update last night from Tennessee law enforcement just to give some more perspective, some more context on what exactly happened. I know this was last night, but in case some of you guys missed it, here's that update from Tennessee. We're going to bring you back over to Pennsylvania when we have some more information about the Cosby case as well. Check out this video.
For your patience this evening as we've worked to gather the details of this fantastic news that has unfolded here in the state of Tennessee because of the bravery of law enforcement and citizens who did the right thing at the right time. It is a great night in the state of Tennessee. We are working right now to piece together the details in this complicated set of events that unfolded. The preliminary information, as you've probably already heard tonight, goes as follows. It appears that the subjects wanted out of Georgia, Ricky DuBose and Donnie Rowe, held a Shelbyville, Tennessee couple hostage this afternoon between the hours of approximately 2 and 5 Central. They left that home shortly after 5 o'clock in that couple's vehicle. Somehow, the couple had the wherewithal to break free and notify authorities, and that was absolutely critical. Law enforcement was immediately able to start pursuing these individuals. Rutherford County subsequently picked up the chase, and with additional details from that point, Lieutenant Bill Miller from THP.
Hello and thank you. Yes, the Rutherford County Sheriff's Department began their pursuit a short distance off of I-24. They entered on I-24 around mile marker 81. The pursuit lasted for approximately 10 miles, where the suspect vehicle during that time was firing numerous rounds at the Rutherford County deputy sheriffs. The suspect vehicle crashed around the 91 mile marker. At that point in time, the suspects bailed out on foot, running into the woodline and weeds and woodline area. At that point in time, THP's aviation was requested along with our tactical units from our special operations team, our strike teams, and additional troopers were also dispatched from other districts to come in and assist. The suspects ran on foot for some distance till they came across a home. At that home, they were attempting to carjack or steal another vehicle from that residence. At that point in time, the homeowner stepped out and held the people there by gunpoint until another neighbor came to assist him. And at that point in time, the Rutherford County Sheriff's Department was alerted, and they arrived on scene and apprehended the two suspects without any incident at that moment. And we're very thankful for the cooperation not only of the TBI, the Rutherford County Sheriff's Department, but also of everyone involved here tonight. This was a great way to end this scenario. I'm going to turn this over back to the TBI and let Director Gwynn speak.
TBI will be responsible for all the crime scenes in this area, including the crime scene down in Bedford County, the crime scene out here on mile marker 91, where the deputies and law enforcement exchanged fire and the vehicle wreck. The subjects are in custody at the Rutherford County Sheriff's Department. They will remain in custody until they are extradited back down to Georgia. There are GBI agents on scene along with several TBI agents. TBI aircraft was deployed with this incident. I can't say enough about the total collaboration of the Rutherford County Sheriff's Department, the Tennessee Highway Patrol, and all law enforcement, not to speak of the public. And its true bravery is what has caused us to be able to stand here before you tonight and talk about a successful capture instead of a tragic incident. So I'm totally grateful for everybody involved and their hard work and the bravery that they exhibited this evening. Now I'll turn it over to the sheriff.
Well, thank you. The information that came in to us, our car got in behind a suspect vehicle of information we received that had been responsible for an armed robbery. Of course, at that time, we did not know the subjects or the ones that we were looking for were the Georgia suspects. We followed the car for quite a while until we could get back up to our deputy. Once he attempted to try to make a stop with the vehicle then fled the scene and then ended up on I-24 in the eastbound lane. Of course, during this pursuit, there were shots fired at our vehicles. We had, luckily, none of our people or personnel were injured, but we had a couple of our cars that were hit with gunfire. I can't say enough as far as the bravery of the homeowner and what they took on, the wherewithal to call us and give us the information so we can get deputies over there and apprehend these two subjects. First of all, I've got to commend the men and women of the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office as far as the initiation of this. But then you've got to look at FBI, TBI, the Tennessee State Troopers. This is what happens when all of us work together, along with the citizens of this county and other counties, and this is the ultimate result. And of course, I'm very thrilled that this has ended this way and that nobody was injured. Thank you.
At this time, we're going to open it up for a few questions. I know you've all got late news deadlines, so we'll try to keep it as tight as possible. Bear in mind, there are still a lot of questions, a lot of evidence, a lot of interviews to conduct, and a lot of things that we still got to piece together, but let's open it up for a few questions.
On Pruitt Road, so the homeowner there on Pruitt Road saw them running into their property. Can you tell us about, they actually held these men at gunpoint until law enforcement could get there?
Yes, that is correct. The homeowner was alerted, either heard a noise, but somehow their attention was brought to look outside their home. They saw these men trying to steal their vehicle. And this home is located down a long private driveway, probably a good quarter mile, maybe a little bit longer. It's a long driveway. If you have no business to be there, it's going to be very clear that you had no business to be there. It's very private residence. So homeowner did come out. He requested a neighbor who just lived just over the way from him to come over and assist. That neighbor also brought his firearm, and together they secured these two suspects until the Rutherford County Sheriff's Department was able to come and apprehend them.
So they held them there. I mean, did they make them lie down on the ground? They both had firearms. Did the suspects have firearms at this point?
To my knowledge, and I don't want to speak too much about the crime scene, but one weapon, my understanding, was located at the crash site, and that's still being processed. They were still searching for another weapon that could possibly be involved out at the residence. To my knowledge, that weapon has not been located yet.
These inmates, have they changed their appearance a lot since the last time they were spotted down the road?
I really can't speak to that. I'll probably turn it over to TBI or to the sheriff. I can't speak about their appearance.
You said the first move will be extraditing them back to Georgia. Will they be facing any charges here in Tennessee first, or is it extradition first?
Well, that's to be worked out with the two district attorney generals one out of Georgia, the one here in Rutherford County, and also the district attorney general in Bedford County. I will say this, that I think we have located both weapons at the crash site. I just left that crash site, and I think both weapons have been located and are being turned over to the agents with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation to go back there to be analyzed.
Who gets the reward?
We'll have to just sort it out. Maybe a lot of people getting a reward out of this.
The couple that Shelbyville mentioned they broke free. Were they tied up? Talk to me about that.
Well, we don't really want to get in. We're in the middle of that investigation. I have agents at the scene now, processing that crime scene, interviewing subjects and victims and witnesses. So until we can get all that done, it would be premature to even talk about that.
Condition of the inmates? We heard one of them may have been injured pretty badly.
No, we don't think so.
Were they healthy?
They're inmates on the run,
Can you remind us where and when that chase started, when the officer spotted the inmates?
It was on what we call Shelbyville Highway 231 South. I'm going to say probably 6 to 7 miles out. They followed them all the way in. And of course, our cars are zoned, so they're not always together. And so we had to wait till we could get other cars to him before we could effect the traffic stop.
So initiate traffic lights, then they refused
Yes, and they refused to stop. And that's when
we entered into the pursuit trying to stop the vehicle.
And at one point, there was never a point where the deputies themselves fired a shot.
All right, sorry guys, our sound on that wasn't too good, but that was just the update from law enforcement in Tennessee after they caught the 2 inmates. Quite a crazy story. We've been bringing you those videos throughout the morning. But take a look at this other story now. I'm going to double box it here. So this was in Charlotte, North Carolina. Did you guys hear about this? Check it out. On a Starbucks drink, instead of a name, it says "Build a Wall." It's a green iced tea, blah, 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 blah. This woman was in Charlotte, North Carolina at a Starbucks. And what?
Make sure you put it up.
Oh, yeah. Thanks. Cam, always looking out for me. Didn't put it up yet. Here's the picture of a Starbucks drink in the right-hand corner of your screen. This woman walked into a Starbucks in Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, we both went to school in North Carolina. We kind of know the state. I mean, it's pretty. It's mixed, but
it's definitely mixed. It did go for Trump in the election.
Yep.
So theoretically, statewide, obviously cities are going to be a little bit more liberal, but statewide, it was majority
Trump
conservative.
voters, right? Majority. So she walks into the Starbucks with a Trump T-shirt on, and apparently, according to her, who was the source, she said that they started laughing at her, they mocked her shirt.
And then ended up kind of just like shoving the drink at her, saying, "Go build a wall." And obviously, here on the drink, you can say where her name would normally go.
Right.
They wrote "Build a Wall," just kind of mocking her political beliefs.
Yeah. So what do you guys think about this? Apparently, she says she has yet to hear from the manager before making a decision that she'll return. She walked out because everyone was staring at her. She said, I found out it's really sad that I can't wear a T-shirt with our president without being made fun of. I think it's interesting because I think that wouldn't get such a response in certain, again, we talked about the city, the state as a whole. I think there are certain areas where it wouldn't get the response, and there's certain areas where it would.
I mean, I'm really surprised that something like this would happen in a state, especially, I mean, kind of in general, but especially in a state that went red, because theoretically, over 50% of the customers.
Theoretically, with the numbers.
Yeah, theoretically.
Right, with the numbers.
Are gonna be Trump supporters. So, I would bet a lot of money that that's not the first Trump shirt that they've seen. There was.
That is kind of odd.
And I'm sure they've seen a ton right after the election, and now we're, 8 months later, or whatever we are, and I'm stunned that this is still an issue.
I know
obviously you don't ever want it to be an issue. You don't ever want somebody to be chided or made fun of for their political beliefs. But especially at this point in the game, it just seems random and unnecessary.
Yeah, it is kind of odd to me too. I was thinking too. She made a statement. Also, the girl that this happened to said it wasn't her trying to get people to stop going to Starbucks. It wasn't a big kind of lash out at Starbucks, which I get. She's kind of just attacking these people and how they addressed her and how they basically attacked her beliefs of sorts. But she did reach out, or rather, sorry, Fox Charlotte reached out to Starbucks and got the following response. They said, "We failed to meet this customer's expectations of us. We've apologized and are working directly with her to make it right." So they knew as a company they had to return a statement in some way. They said, "This experience is not consistent with our standards or the welcoming, respectful experience we aim to provide to every customer who visits. We've spoken with our store partners, etc." So again, I don't think it was sort of like an attack on Starbucks. It was just the reaction she got from these people. But what do you guys think? I don't know if you heard about this commotion from Starbucks, but it's making a news story, and it's something in our very polarly divided country that I think we're gonna see at times. So I'm not technically super surprised, but maybe the Charlotte thing, I kind of am surprised.
I'm more surprised by the location than that it happened. Obviously, you never want to see it happen, but
right,
because we are, as you said, so politically divided. It doesn't stun me all that much, but the location to me is really surprising. I just don't really understand the reaction at all of the people who worked in Starbucks.
Yeah, I'm seeing you guys saying, "What would we do without Cam?" I know you're right. He helped me get that. He's so good in here. I love it. And also, Stig, you're saying it's Starbucks. 2, it's Charlotte. 3, it's Starbucks. I mean, are you trying to say it's, you know, oh, they're liberal places? Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, like, Starbucks I can definitely see as being more of a liberal establishment, and Charlotte, like, as a city, is definitely more liberal than, like, the rest of
North Carolina.
than the rest of North Carolina. But, you know, it still as a state, you know, like, Charlotte is, I would guess, more conservative than, say, you know, New York or LA. And
Definitely.
we haven't, at least, you know, it hasn't been brought to our attention of this type of story happening there. And I mean, obviously it could have happened and just not been reported and not picked up by us, but the state, you know, and there's a lot of people who, you know, who commute into Charlotte for work. I have friends of mine, since I go to Duke, obviously in North Carolina. I have friends of mine who live just outside Charlotte, and their parents commute into Charlotte for work. Some of whom are conservative. So, you know, the mix of people that is in Charlotte at any given time, maybe not living inside it, but, you know, who commute into it, who are in Charlotte, is, you know, at the very least you'd expect maybe like 60-40, like liberal to conservative, or 65-35. So there's a good amount of conservative people in there. I'm surprised that this issue is coming up at this point, you know, in that specific place.
Yeah, I agree. And Stig, I think you said you're from South Carolina, and you were noticing his sticker from North Carolina because he goes to school there, obviously, and I also did too. So we both have a connection to the state, and I agree. It's more surprising on where than that it happened. And you're saying Starbucks has never been a bastion of conservative positions, right? I mean, I agree with that.
Yeah, and, you know, definitely true. I would say that Starbucks definitely is more liberal, but you know, there's definitely a difference between being liberal and attacking somebody who's conservative for being conservative unprovoked. You know, obviously I don't know, but I'm guessing she didn't walk in, you know, like trying to start like a Trump chant or like you know, it wasn't a rally. My guess is she was just trying to get coffee.
Yeah.
You know, and
I'm sure those employees got a stern talking to, like, or something happened, maybe even fired, but I don't know. Actually, I'm gonna read in here, but yeah, I mean, obviously have your opinions, like it or don't like it, but, you know, lashing out, putting that on the, I see what she means, that they called her out for supporting him. I don't know. It's one thing to take it, and other thing to, like, send it into a news station and be like, this is a thing. So, interesting stuff. Also out of LA last night, if you guys didn't catch this is super cool. They projected the Batman, the bat signal. They were calling it, they were using the hashtag Bright Night, which was cool, for Adam West, who died. He obviously played the old actor in the 1960s for Batman. And here's a little package put together about how the bat signal lit up the building, City Hall in LA last night. And if you know LA, they often do this. They light up their City Hall specifically. It went purple, I think, for Prince. They did something else for Gay Pride. So a lot of sort of recognition for people and for events and for interesting, important things in LA. So check out this video.
A touching tribute to honor an iconic actor. The bat symbol illuminated LA's skyline for a final tribute to Batman actor Adam West Thursday night.
It's the city's way of honoring a great legend.
Mayor Eric Garcetti and Chief Charlie Beck lighting City Hall with the 70-foot Batman signal projection often seen in the Batman TV show and movies when city leaders wanted to summon Batman's help. Garcetti getting into the Batman theme.
Batman! I cannot tell you how many times I have wanted to turn on the bat signal.
Even West's former sidekick, Burt Ward, who played Robin, appearing, getting into character.
I'm here to tell you that my friend Adam would want every single one of you to be incredibly happy and to be joyous, because he spent his entire life as a performer making people happy, making them laugh, and trying to make this world a better place. So thank you for coming out. Wowie zowie!
Thousands gathered in front of City Hall to celebrate the late actor's life, who died Friday at age 88. Many introducing the Winged Crusader to a new generation. many honoring West by dressing up as one of the Batman characters.
It's great, something to share with him, and new memories to build. I don't know any other cities that are doing this,
One of the Batmobiles West drove in the 60s also on display. Relatives of George Barris, the car's designer, stepping out to pay tribute. Jeff Dunham, also an owner of a Batmobile, taking the car for a ride to help honor West's life.
What's great about Batman and the Batmobile is that if you look at this crowd, it's every ethnicity that you can possibly imagine. It's every age group, it's every education, it's everybody. It's just a big chunk of Americana right here.
Super cool. I love that video. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool.
If anybody does it right, it's LA with Hollywood entertainment honoring these stars. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
I love it.
Anytime you have an elected official at a podium singing the Batman theme song, like that's got to be a special moment.
I love it. We also streamed the video of this from last night, so I'm going to try to find that for you guys because it's cool to kind of see the wide shot of what it looks like. Let me find it. But yeah, I love it. And the comments from the crowds there, like what other city would actually do this? It's so true. I love that LA gets into it. Like I said, they do this often in their city hall to honor people or events. Let's see. All right, I'm going to find this for you guys, and we're going to flash it over to inside the courtroom in Massachusetts, still kind of hovering there to wait on anything that might come out of the Massachusetts suicide texting trial. We'll be back in the studio in a moment. Okay, guys, we're back, and I'm bringing you Donald Trump's latest tweets. He tweeted this out this morning saying, "I'm being investigated for firing the FBI director by the man who told me to fire the FBI director. Witch hunt." So people are kind of trying to interpret this. I'm bringing this up now because people are saying that this is possibly him recognizing that he is under fire for obstruction of justice and that this might actually happen. And also, we're going to hear him speak shortly. We're going to get cameras down there. He's in Miami, Florida, talking about U.S. policy with Cuba. That's the topic today. So we'll hear from him shortly. So I just wanted to bring your attention to this new tweets from the tweeting president. Not that we want to keep this all political in here, but anyway, quite interesting. I think people can interpret that a few different ways. But yeah, we'll have to see what he has to say about that. No press briefing today with Sean Spicer, or at least not one on camera, is scheduled for us live. So we don't have any reporters to ask that direct question, although that will be surely the hot topic next time they have that open press conference with Sean Spicer. But yeah, latest tweet from Donald Trump is making some headlines, making the rounds here. We're going to bring you back to a shot of Northville, Pennsylvania, outside the Cosby courthouse. just in case something comes down from there. We're there live, and we can bring that to you. So we'll be back shortly, guys, with Donald Trump down in Miami. Stay with us. Okay, guys, we're efforting some issues in here with the internet, but we are back up and running. So here's a picture of the doctor that was arrested at Trump Hotel. He's back in custody now because he returned to D.C. when he was told he wasn't supposed to, right?
This is a story from 2
Earlier.
weeks ago, I think.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago.
End of May.
Arrested outside the Trump Hotel for having guns in his car.
Yep.
And
Easy.
Arrested, talked to the police, then was eventually released until the time of his court hearing, under the conditions that he went to Georgia, Atlanta, and went to a basically sought help in Georgia and did not return to D.C. And then even when he did return to D.C. for the hearing, so he was only allowed to return for the hearing. He didn't go near the White House or near Trump Hotel.
Right.
And so obviously he just decided to break the terms of his release, came back to D.C., and now got arrested again and is being held in custody until the time of his hearing.
And get this, I'm just bringing up this information. He actually was found to have a return to the D.C. area, which he wasn't supposed to do, because he posted pictures on Facebook of newspaper headlines talking about the congressional baseball game shooting, or the shooting at the baseball field prior to the congressional game. So somehow he was socially engaged and wanted to post these photos that alerted authorities basically that he was back in the Capitol, which he wasn't supposed to be in. And then now he violated his conditions and he must be held now for trial. So they're going to definitely do some stuff to determine his competency and what's up with this. But yeah, returning back, arrested originally at Trump Hotel, now back in custody. And they're going to go from there. But it's odd. It makes you think there is definitely something mentally...
Yeah, I think there's got to be something wrong because why would you give up your, limited freedom.
Yeah.
At least being independent and self-sufficient to, come back to D.C. and now he's going to be held until trial. It just makes no sense to me at all.
And a attorney here said that his name is Brian Moles, that he came back to D.C. to purchase and consume drugs, which must be, I don't really know what that means. And then
just questionable decisions
questionable
all around.
Totally questionable. And then, like I said, he posted these photos of newspapers describing the shooting of Representative Scalise and the others. And those newspapers were in photos next to a black bag with unknown contents. Really weird.
There's no explanation. There's no explanation. Just drink it in. This is what happens sometimes.
Yeah, so definitely people keeping an eye on this guy. Kind of odd case. Looks like there's a little movement going on in the courtroom in Massachusetts where this texting suicide case just dropped their verdict of guilty for Michelle Carter. Let's see what's going on here. Nothing much right now.
Miami, Florida.
Yeah, guys, we're going down to Florida to President Trump shortly. Before I want to answer your questions. Yeah, let's go back here. I think that you are right. I'm not quite sure what he's wearing on his feet. Are those slippers? Some type of
something like.
Yeah, he looks like he's in casual clothes. And then you're saying he probably needed meds that he could only get in D.C. Legit, maybe. Yeah, we'll have to see.
But
who knows?
Maybe not. I don't know how many meds you can only get in D.C. that you couldn't get in Atlanta or New York.
Yeah, that's odd.
Miami, I think a laundry list of options there as far as where to get them.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
I don't know.
Could be wrong. You never know. But
yeah, I don't know. I'm just reading that sentence that he came back to obtain and purchase drugs. Yeah, that's possible. I guess that is sort of the way one might think of it. All right, so President Trump is about to speak in Miami. We'll throw you down to Florida shortly. This is kind of a cool wide shot. Check it out. Here they are gearing up for this stage. President Trump will be speaking on the U.S. policy with Cuba. So that's the topic of today. He's down at the Manuel Artime Theater. Looks like a beautiful old theater. Guys, just jumping in here with a little breaking news from Bruce Gordon at Fox 29 in Philly, tweeting it out. The updates in the Cosby case. Cosby jury wants to rehear testimony from Andrea Constand and her mother. Defense wants mistrial denied. Deliberations resume. So that's just a little update on the Cosby case. We've been having, we had that camera outside the Montgomery County Courthouse all morning, still waiting and waiting to see if a verdict comes down. That's the latest there. We're going to take you now down to Miami. President Trump is next. He'll be speaking on the United States policy with Cuba down there in Miami, Florida. Justin.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Congressman Mario Diaz-Balart.
Thank you so very much. Buenos días. Let me tell you, this is a special day to be with the distinguished members of the President's Cabinet, including our very own Secretary Acosta, my colleagues. I know there are some of my colleagues that are here, and of course, starting with Senator Rubio, Congressman Curbelo. I know I'm going to miss some, but I know that someone that's very special to me, Congressman Lincoln Diaz-Balart, is here, along with who along with Ileana Ros-Lehtinen and Senator Menendez were the ones who codified U.S. law against the tyranny in Cuba. And of course, our Governor Scott is here. Heroes like Cali Roque and Angel de la Fana and Jorge Luis Garcia Perez Antunes are here. My friends, today I stand here in the presence of so many heroes, former political prisoners, the heroes of the Brigada 2506 Brigade, and so many of you. So many others who have suffered under the hands and by the hands of the Castro regime. And let me just talk about the brigade. You know, the brigade is a symbol of dignity, made up of men and women, made up of men who personify sacrifice and heroism, and who, having experienced betrayal, have nevertheless never wavered in the struggle for freedom. Now, many presidents have made commitments, But unfortunately, some of those were not kept. When our brave heroes were promised support on April 17th, 1961, they were betrayed and the support never came. When then nominee, Mr. Obama, came to Miami and he promised that he would support the embargo for the leverage that it provided until genuine change and respect for human rights took place in the island, he broke his word. In his last term in office, President Obama urged Congress to end the embargo and yielded all possible concessions, and the Castro regime never unclenched its fist. Now, you know, his policy was based on this absurd notion that increasing trade with the brutal, murderous Castro regime, by the way, even directly aiding the Cuban military tourism industry, would somehow help the Cuban people. He exalted the virtues of his policy, which pretended that the oppressed are somehow helped by the strengthening of their oppressors. In contrast, my dear friends, then nominee Donald Trump, he promised that he would pursue a policy on Cuba that would put U.S. law, the American values of freedom and democracy, and the American national security interests first. But, oh yeah. So here we are. And now he comes back to Miami. In his very first year, as president, to keep his promise. You see, my friends, my dear friends, the commitments that he made to you and to those struggling for freedom just 90 miles away from our shores are being kept. U.S. policy will ensure that the Cuban military, which oppresses the Cuban people and it beats the people through its thugs and imprisons political activists and spies on its neighbors, they can no longer benefit from increased trade and travel. The regime, that same regime that was caught smuggling 240 tons of weapons to North Korea, and which has the blood of innocents on its hand, will no longer benefit from U.S. dollars. If you'll allow me, I have a message for the Cuban people. This is my message to the Cuban people and to all those struggling for freedom. President Trump stands with you. President Trump will not stand for the suppression of basic rights. He will not gloss over human rights abuses and the pleas of political prisoners. You will no longer have to witness the embarrassing spectacle of an American president doing the wave with a ruthless dictator at a baseball game in Cuba. Nope. No. To the Cuban people, the President of the United States stands with you. Muy brevemente, tengo un mensaje para el pueblo cubano y todos los que luchan por la libertad. El presidente Trump está con ustedes. No, presidente Trump no aceptará como normal la supresión de los derechos fundamentales. No pasará por alto los abusos contra los derechos de los cubanos, ni las súplicas de los presos políticos. Ahora, al pueblo cubano, ahora el presidente de los Estados Unidos está con ustedes. Look, I am honored. I am honored to be here as President Trump sets a new course that is faithful to the values that we cherish and the struggle for freedom, which has come at such a great cost to so many. President Trump will treat the Castro regime as the malevolent dictatorship that it is. Thank you, President Trump, for keeping your commitments. You have not betrayed us. You kept your promise. And you stand in solidarity with the Cuban people and freedom-loving people everywhere. And you are putting American values, the U.S. national security interest, and the freedom of the Cuban people first. Thank you, President Trump.
Whoa, guys. So an impassioned introduction there to President Trump. He's taking the stage now, reading some of your comments here, some jokes about Cuban cigars. I got you. The Spanish subtitles, yeah, I didn't know if he would stay in Spanish for so long, but it sounds like he kind of jumped around. But yeah, here comes President Trump next.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Senator Marco Rubio.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. The Sunday after the presidential election, I was at Dadeland Mall. I was in the parking lot of Dadeland Mall, and I called President-elect Trump on his cell phone to congratulate him on his victory. And one of the first things he said to me is, "What are we going to do to help the Cuban people?" A few weeks later, I had the honor of flying with him to Central Florida on Air Force One. And he again, in the midst of that conversation, asked, "What are we going to do to help the Cuban people?" My wife and I had the opportunity to dine with him and the First Lady in the White House. And in the middle of that conversation, he asked, "What are we going to do to help the Cuban people and the people of Venezuela, who are also living under a dictatorship?" Six weeks ago in the Oval Office, the President of the United States, gathered with members of his cabinet, made a very clear decision. We are going to do whatever it takes to empower the Cuban people so that they can be free and live in a democracy and have economic and political liberties that they deserve, like everyone else in this hemisphere deserves. And he has not faltered in that commitment. The cooperation, the hard work, the commitment that this White House and that President Trump has shown to this cause, I believe has no precedent, certainly in the modern history of this great cause. We have been helped by many who have aligned with us, some who could not be here today. I do want to recognize Resident Commissioner Jennifer Gonzalez of Puerto Rico, nuestra hermana de la isla de Puerto Rico que está junto con nosotros, that's who's with us on this issue. But what I want you to know is that in every single one of those instances in which the president spoke about Cuba, he also spoke about Brigade 2506. Because a few weeks before the election, for the first time in decades, he went to visit their museum, where they endorsed him, meaning the first time in decades that they had endorsed a presidential candidate. And there isn't a single time that I have spoken to the president about Cuba that he has not mentioned the brigade. And that strikes me because it reminds us that almost 60 years ago, when they were young men willing to fight and to die for the freedom of their homeland, they made an extraordinary sacrifice. And perhaps some of them felt that the time to make a difference for them had passed. But I want them to know that almost 60 years later, they have made a difference. That meeting and their efforts, I believe, as much as anything else, has brought us to this day. And we just landed at the airport. I had the honor, again, of flying on Air Force One. They have the best M&Ms on the planet. And you can take red lights when you're part of the motorcade that comes in legally without those crazy cameras. Never mind, I don't want to talk about that. But get rid of the cameras, yeah. And it struck me as the plane landed and we were getting into the cars that brought us here, and we look at the president coming down the steps, he was greeted by dissidents, by freedom fighters, by people, some of whom on the island of Cuba have suffered greatly in the hands of this repressive regime. And less than a year and a half ago, an American president landed in Havana, greeted by a regime. A year and a half ago, an American president, landed in Havana to outstretch his hand to a regime. Today, a new president lands in Miami to reach out his hand to the people of Cuba. And I close with this. Many will characterize this as an effort to punish the Cuban regime. And it will punish the Cuban military that oppresses its people and helps Maduro oppress their people in Venezuela. But more than anything else, this change empowers the people of Cuba. Not the government, not the regime, but the people, so that they can enjoy the freedom and the liberty. With a very clear message, America is prepared to outstretch its hand and work with the people of Cuba, but we will not empower their oppressors. And you mark my words. And you mark my words. Whether it's in 6 months or 6 years, Cuba will be free. And when it is, I believe that the people on the island and history will say that perhaps the key moment in that transition began on this day here in this theater with each of you and with a president that was willing to do what needed to be done so that freedom and liberty returns to the enslaved island of Cuba. Voy a ser bien breve, que es muy difícil para un cubano y para un senador ser breve, pero lo voy a hacer, porque quiero mandarle un mensaje al pueblo de Cuba. Y este es el mensaje. Que antes teníamos un presidente que le daba la mano al régimen que lo oprime, pero ahora tenemos un presidente americano que le da la mano a ustedes, el pueblo cubano. Que los días en cual la política exterior de este país ayuda al régimen se están terminando y los días en que la política norteamericana ayuda al pueblo cubano para que ellos puedan tener la libertad, la democracia y los derechos que se merecen, que Dios les ha dado. Y cuando ese día llegue, que Cuba será libre por fin, yo le aseguro que este día que estamos aquí hoy, la historia va a decir que es el principio del fin de este régimen. gracias a un presidente llamado Donald Trump que hizo lo que tenía que hacer para que la democracia y la libertad regrese a la isla de Cuba. Muchísimas gracias. God bless you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Governor of Florida, Rick Scott.
First, it is great to be here with President Trump, Vice President Pence, and all of you. And it's great they're in the great state of Florida. As the governor of this great state, I've been honored to meet with so many Cuban Americans and hear their stories of hope that one day the island nation will be free. When Fidel Castro died, I was hopeful for an end to the decades of torture, repression, and incarceration that the Castro brothers have subjected on the Cuban people for too long. Unfortunately, nothing has changed, and actually has gotten worse. The Castro regime continues to imprison people who speak out against the brutality. There's still no freedom of the press or religion, or free and fair elections. We can all go on and on about the abuses of the Castro regime. But there are so many who refuse to let the Castro regime get away with their heinous acts. In Tunis, Pierre Roquet, Angel de Pana, Shirley Villa-Leon, and Pedro Corzo. These individuals are just a few of those who have fought against the Castro regime over the past decades. They've been imprisoned, tortured, and publicly shamed by the Castro regime, yet they still and others refuse to back down. I've had the distinct opportunity to honor them with Freedom Awards for their fight for a free Cuba, and we should all be proud of their heroic efforts. Right after President Trump was elected, I started meeting with him, along with others, Senator Rubio, Mario Diaz-Balart, and others, to discuss how important it is that America stand up for the Cuban people, that America stands for freedom. The deal President Obama made with Cuba was simply a capitulation and an acceptance of tyranny. President Trump will stand for freedom. America must always stand for freedom. Whether it's popular or not, America must stand for freedom. Whether it's easy or not, America must stand for freedom. Whether it's profitable or not, America must stand for freedom. Today, we have a president and a vice president who understand that America will always stand for freedom. El pueblo de Cuba se merece libertad. Muchas gracias. Now, I have a distinct opportunity to introduce somebody that's been a friend for a long time, that is a tireless advocate for freedom in this world, Vice President Mike Pence.
Hello, Miami! What a great day. Governor Scott, Senator Rubio, Congressman Diaz-Balart, Congressman Cabello, Secretary Acosta, Secretary Perdue, Secretary Ross, distinguished members of the Cuban American community, honored guests, my fellow Americans, welcome to history. Welcome to a historic day, a day when America will renew our commitment to the ideal of freedom in this hemisphere. A day when the world will witness America once again, standing in solidarity with the people of Cuba thanks to the strong and unwavering leadership of President Donald Trump. It is the greatest privilege of my life to serve as Vice President to President Donald Trump. A man of his word, a man of action, and a president who stands without apology as leader of the free world. Since the hour of our nation's birth, the United States has stood for the proposition that all are created equal, that we're endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. As Americans, we believe these rights belong to the entire human family. But for 58 years, the people of Cuba have labored under a repressive regime that has stifled their liberty, and with it, their future. For generations, the sons and daughters of Cuba have come to our shores in search of the freedom that their friends and family at home are denied. But while you came to the land of the free, you never forgot home. You raised your voices through the generations to demand that Cuba be free once more, and once again, you have a president who hears you and is with you. Today, President Donald Trump will make it clear that America is with you, that America stands with the persecuted, the oppressed, and the exploited in Cuba, that this nation stands not with tyrants, but today, President Donald Trump will make it clear that the United States of America stands with the courageous men and women of Cuba who seek to reclaim their God-given rights to life and liberty. Today, under the leadership of President Donald Trump, America will say once again with one voice, Que viva Cuba Libre. Cuba si, Castro no. So with gratitude for his leadership and with admiration for his unwavering dedication to freedom, it is now my high honor and distinct privilege to introduce to you my friend, the President of the United States of America, President Donald Trump.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. Great honor. And thank you to my truly great friend, Vice President Mike Pence. He's terrific. And thank you to Miami. We love Miami. Let me start by saying that I'm glad Secretary of State Rex Tillerson and I, along with a very talented team, were able to get Otto Warmbier back with his parents. What's happened to him is a truly terrible thing, but at least the ones who love him so much can now take care of him and be with him. Also, my dear friend, Steve Scalise, took a bullet for all of us. And because of him and the tremendous pain and suffering he's now enduring, and he's having a hard time, far worse than anybody thought, our country will perhaps become closer, more unified, so important. So we all owe Steve a big, big thank you. And let's keep the Warmbier family and the Scalise family and all of the victims of the congressional shooting in our hearts and prayers. And it was quite a day, and our police officers were incredible, weren't they? They did a great job. Good job. And let us all pray for a future of peace, unity, and safety for all of our people. Thank you. And for Cuba. I am so thrilled to be back here with all of my friends in Little Havana. I love it. I love this city. And one of the big thank you. Thank you. Now, this is an amazing community. The Cuban American community. There's so much love. I saw that immediately. Thank you, darling. Oh, do I love you too. What you've built here, a vibrant culture, a thriving neighborhood, the spirit of adventure, is a testament to what a free Cuba could be. And with God's help, a free Cuba is what we will soon achieve. And I don't even mind that it's 110 degrees up here. This room is packed. You know, it wasn't designed for this. I'd like to thank the fire department. We are delighted to be joined by so many friends and leaders of our great community. I want to express our deep gratitude to a man that's really become a friend of mine. And I want to tell you, he is one tough competitor. Senator Marco Rubio. Great guy. He is tough. Man. He is tough, and he's good, and he loves you. He loves you. And I listened to another friend of mine, Congressman Mario Diaz-Balart, and I'll tell you, I loved what he said, and I appreciated, Mario, I appreciated what you said so much. In fact, I was looking for Mario. I wanted to find him. They said he was on stage. I almost dragged him off the stage to thank him, but now I'm thanking you anyway. Thank you, Mario. That was great. Really appreciate it. And I also want to thank my good friend and just a man who was of tremendous support in the state of Florida for being with us, Governor Rick Scott. Great job. He's doing a great job. Oh, I hope he runs for the Senate. I know I'm not supposed to say that. I hope he runs for the Senate. Rick, are you running? Huh? I don't know. Marco, let's go. Come on, we got to get him to. I hope he runs for the Senate. We're deeply honored to be joined by amazing veterans of the Bay of Pigs. These are great people, amazing people. I have wonderful memories from our visit during the campaign. That was some visit. That was right before the election. I guess it worked, right? Boy, Florida as a whole and this community that supported us like by tremendous margins, and we appreciate it. But including one of the big honors, and that was the honor of getting the Bay of Pigs Award just before the election. And it's great to be gathered in a place named for a true hero of the Cuban people. And you know what that means. I was also looking forward to welcoming today two people who are not present. Jose Daniel Ferrer and Berta Soler were both prevented from leaving Cuba for this event. So we acknowledge them. They're great friends, great help. And although they could not be with us, we are with them 100%. Okay? We are with them. Right? Finally, I want to recognize everyone in the audience who has their own painful but important story to tell about the true and brutal nature of the Castro regime. Brutal. We thank the dissidents, the exiles, and the children of Operation Peter Pan. You know what that means. And all who gather in the cafes, churches, and the streets of this incredible area and city to speak the truth and to stand for justice. And we want to thank you all for being a voice for the voiceless. There are people. It's voiceless, but you are making up the difference, and we all want to thank you. This group is amazing. Just an incredible, you are an incredible group of talented, passionate people. Thank you. Incredible group of people. Many of you witnessed terrible crimes committed in service of a depraved ideology. You saw the dreams of generations held by captive. And just literally, you look at what happened and what communism has done. You knew faces that disappeared, innocents locked in prisons, and believers persecuted for preaching the Word of God. You watched the women in white, bruised, bloodied, and captured on their way from Mass. You have heard the chilling cries of loved ones or the cracks of firing squads piercing through the ocean breeze. Not a good sound. Among the courageous Cuban dissidents with us on stage here today are Carrie Roque, who was imprisoned by the Castro regime 15 years ago. She looks awfully good.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Thank you, Marco Rubio, Mario Diaz-Balart. Thank you to all the men and the Cubans who fight, no matter what the times can be, for the Cuban liberty. On behalf, Mr. President, on behalf of the Cuban people, the people inside my eyes, my homeland, thank you, and we appreciate your love.
Thank you. Wow. That's pretty good. She didn't know she was going to do that either, I will tell you. Thank you very much. Antunes, imprisoned for 17 years. Where is he? I love that name. Antunes, I love that name. And Angel Tifana, imprisoned for over 20 years. Thank you. Thank you. Very brave people. The exiles and dissidents here today have witnessed communism destroy a nation, just as communism has destroyed every single nation where it has ever been tried. But we will not be silent in the face of communist oppression any longer. You have seen the truth. You have spoken the truth. And the truth has now called us, this group, called us to action. Thank you. Last year, I promised to be a voice against repression. In our region, remember, tremendous repression, and a voice for the freedom of the Cuban people. You heard that pledge. You exercised the right you have to vote. You went out and you voted, and here I am, like I promised, like I promised. I promise you, I keep my promises. Sometimes in politics, they take a little bit longer, but we get there. We get there. Don't we get there? You better believe it, Mike. We get there. Thank you. Thank you. No, we keep our promise. And now that I am your president, America will expose the crimes of the Castro regime and stand with the Cuban people in their struggle for freedom. Because we know it is best for America to have freedom in our hemisphere, whether in Cuba or Venezuela, and to have a future where the people of each country can live out their own dreams. For nearly 6 decades, the Cuban people have suffered under communist domination. To this day, Cuba is ruled by the same people who killed tens of thousands of their own citizens, who sought to spread their repressive and failed ideology throughout our hemisphere, and who once tried to host enemy nuclear weapons 90 miles from our shores. The Castro regime has shipped arms to North Korea and fueled chaos in Venezuela. While imprisoning innocents, it has harbored cop killers, hijackers, and terrorists. It has supported human trafficking, forced labor, and exploitation all around the globe. This is the simple truth of the Castro regime. My administration will not hide from it, excuse it, or glamorize it. And we will never, ever be blind to it. We know what's going on, and we remember what happened. On my recent trip overseas, I said the United States is adopting a principled realism rooted in our values, shared interests, and common sense. I also said countries should take greater responsibility for creating stability in their own regions. It's hard to think of a policy that makes less sense than the prior administration's terrible and misguided deal with the Castro regime. Well, you have to say the Iran deal was pretty bad also at all. Let's not forget that beauty. They made a deal with a government that spreads violence and instability in the region, and nothing they got. Think of it, nothing they got. They fought for everything, and we just didn't fight hard enough. But now, those days are over. Now we hold the cards. We now hold the cards. The previous administration's easing of restrictions on travel and trade does not help the Cuban people. They only enrich the Cuban regime. The profits from investment and tourism flow directly to the military. The regime takes the money and owns the industry. The outcome of last administration's executive action has been only more repression and a move to crush the peaceful democratic movement. Therefore, effective immediately, I am canceling the last administration's completely one-sided deal with Cuba. I am announcing today a new policy, just as I promised during the campaign. And I will be signing that contract right at that table in just a moment. Our policy will seek a much better deal for the Cuban people and for the United States of America. We do not want U.S. dollars to prop up a military monopoly that exploits and abuses the citizens of Cuba. Our new policy begins with strictly enforcing U.S. law. We will not lift sanctions on the Cuban regime until all political prisoners are freed. Freedoms of assembly and expression are respected. All political parties are legalized. And free and internationally supervised elections are scheduled. Elections. We will very strongly restrict American dollars flowing to the military, security, and intelligence services that are the core of the Castro regime. They will be restricted. We will enforce the ban on tourism. We will enforce the embargo. We will take concrete steps to ensure that investments flow directly to the people so they can open private businesses and begin to build their country's great, great future, a country of great potential. My action today bypasses the military and the government to help the Cuban people themselves form businesses and pursue much better lives. We will keep in place the safeguards to prevent Cubans from risking their lives to unlawful travel to the United States. They are in such danger the way they have to come to this country, and we are going to be safeguarding those people. We have to. We have no choice. We have to. And we will work for the day when a new generation of leaders brings this long reign of suffering to an end. And I do believe that end is in the very near future. We challenge Cuba to come to the table with a new agreement that is in the best interests of both their people and our people, and also of Cuban Americans. to the Cuban government, I say, put an end to the abuse of dissidents. Release the political prisoners. Stop jailing innocent people. Open yourselves to political and economic freedoms. Return the fugitives from American justice, including the return of the cop killer, Joanne Chesimard. And finally, hand over the Cuban military criminals who shot down and killed 4 brave members of Brothers to the Rescue, who were in unarmed, small, slow civilian planes. Those victims included Mario de la Pena Jr. and Carlos Costa. We are honored to be joined today by Mario's parents, Miriam and Mario, and Carlos's sister, Mirta. Where are you? Those are great, great parents who love their children so much. What they've done is just an incredible thing. What they represent, they did not die in vain. What they represent to everybody, and especially to the Cuban people. So your children did not die in vain, believe me. So to the Castro regime, I repeat, the harboring of criminals and fugitives will end. You have no choice. It will end. Any changes to the relationship between the United States and Cuba will depend on real progress toward these and the other goals, many of which I've described. When Cuba is ready to take concrete steps to these ends, we will be ready, willing, and able to come to the table to negotiate that much better deal for Cubans, for Americans, much better deal. And a deal that's fair. A deal that's fair. And a deal that makes sense. Our embassy remains open in the hope that our countries can forge a much stronger and better path. America believes that free, independent, and sovereign nations are the best vehicle for human happiness, for health, for education, for safety, for everything. We all accept that all nations have the right to chart their own paths, and I'm certainly a very big believer in that. So we will respect Cuban sovereignty, but we will never turn our backs on the Cuban people. That will not happen. Over the years, a special sympathy has grown between this land of the free and the beautiful people of that island so close to our shores and so deeply woven into the history of our region. America has rejected the Cuban people's oppressors. They are rejected. Officially today, they are rejected. And to those people, America has become a source of strength and our flag a symbol of hope. I know that is exactly what America is to you and what it represents to you. It represents the same to me. It represents the same to all of us. And that is what it was to a little boy, Luis Aza. You ever hear of Luis? Became very famous, great talent. Just 8 years old when Fidel Castro seized power. At the time, Luis's father was the police chief in Santiago de Cuba. You know Santiago? Yeah? Oh, they know Santiago. Just days after Fidel took control, his father was one of 71 Cubans executed by firing squad near San Juan Hill at the hands of the Castro regime. Luis buried his grief in his great love of music. He began playing the violin so brilliantly and so beautifully. Soon the regime saw his incredible gift and wanted to use him for propaganda purposes. When he was 12, they organized a national television special and demanded he play a solo for Raul Castro, who, by the way, is leaving now. I wonder why. They sent an official to fetch Luis from his home, but Luis refused to go. And a few days later, Castro's soldiers barged into his orchestra practice area, guns blazing. They told him to play for them. Terrified, Luis began to play, and the entire room was stunned by what they heard. Ringing out from the trembling boy's violin was a tune they all recognized. This young Cuban boy was playing the Star-Spangled Banner. Luis played the American national anthem all the way through, and when he finished, the room was dead silent. When we say that America stands as a symbol to the world, a symbol of freedom, and a symbol of hope, that is what Luis meant, and that is what Luis displayed that day. It was a big day. It was a great day. And that is what we will all remain. That was a very important moment, just like this is now for Cuba, a very important moment. America will always stand for liberty, and America will always pray and cheer for the freedom of the Cuban people. Now, that little boy whose story I just told you, the one who played that violin so beautifully so many years ago, is here with us today in our very, very packed and extremely warm auditorium. Of course, he is no longer a little boy, but a world-renowned violinist and conductor, one of the greats. And today he will once again play his violin and fill the hearts of all who love and cherish Cuba, the United States, and freedom. I would like now to invite Luis to the stage. Luis. Thank you, Luis. I just said, so where were you more nervous, today or then? He said, honestly, I think today. That's pretty. Thank you, Luis. That was beautiful. So I want to thank Miami. I want to thank Little Havana. Ah, Havana, we love. Do we love it? Would you move anywhere else? You wouldn't move to Palm Beach, would you? No. No way. Little Havana. And I want to thank all of our great friends here today. You've been amazing, loyal, beautiful people. And thank you. Don't remind me. Actually, I was telling Mike. So it was 2 days on my birthday till a big day, which turned out to be tomorrow, the 16th. That was the day I came down with Melania on the escalator at Trump Tower. That's tomorrow. So it's exactly tomorrow, 2 years since we announced. And it worked out okay. Worked out okay. It's a great honor. Believe me, it's a great honor, right? Thank you. Thank you very much. I just want to end by saying, may God bless everyone searching for freedom. May God bless Cuba. May God bless the United States of America. And God bless you all. Thank you. Now I'm going to sign. Thank you. So this says, strengthening the policy of the United States toward Cuba. And I can add, strengthening a lot. So this is very important, and you watch what's going to happen. It's going to be a great day for Cuba. Thank you. Thank you very much. Where's Mario? Mario. Who's our third one? Right here behind you. Oh,
So there you have it, guys. President Trump signing this new policy, effectively reversing an Obama administration policy here. The White House said in a statement that this policy centers on the belief that the oppressed Cuban people should benefit from American engagement with the island rather than the regime there. So that's what they are saying in their words. And there he is signing that policy after a rousing speech. We heard from Marco Rubio as well as Vice President Pence and the president. We hope you enjoyed this stream, guys. We'll leave you here. Let us know your comments below and enjoy the end of this. All right, YouTube, thanks so much for watching us on our stream today. We're going to finish it out with this song as President Trump starts to leave the stage, signing some autographs, it looks like, shaking some hands, taking photos down in Miami. We hope you enjoyed today's stream. We will be back with you as usual on Monday, our weekday live stream of all the breaking news and events from around the world, around the nation, also locally right here in DC, what our reporters are covering for the day. You can catch us, of course, also on all our other platforms, so check us out on fox5dc.com for more updated web stories. I'm also going to be attending AwesomeCon on Sunday, so getting some cool footage of that, hopefully to bring you for Monday, and check in with our Facebook Live and our Instagram too for maybe some live footage from AwesomeCon in DC. Yeah, we'll close it out with this, guys. Let me know what you think. I watched some of your comments during Trump's speech, which actually went pretty long, longer than I thought with some of the openers as well. But some interesting stuff there, announcing new policy changes for Cuba and some travel and business restrictions for Cuba as well. So reversing a policy from the previous administration. With that, guys, we're going to roll out the show. But thanks so much for watching. And yeah, thanks for engaging with us. Molly and Cam here. Friday, we say goodbye. We'll see you guys Monday at 11 a.m. And if you forget about it, just click that button that says subscribe right there on your screen, and you'll be able to see our channel every time you open YouTube to check us out. All right, guys, we'll see you Monday.